Hi, my name is Dan, and this is my channel Engelgeist. Thank you for tuning in. This is the November 2019 predictive for the sign of Virgo. I had to think about that for a minute. This new candle's not staying lit. I don't think it has enough wick on it. Excuse me. Okay. So if you have a sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Virgo, you may want to watch this. If love comes up in the reading and your Venus is in Virgo, this might pertain to you also. Please give the video a like, share, or subscribe, whatever you choose to do to support the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Tell your friends about it. Or if you care about a Virgo, you could certainly cross-watch and watch this video if you have a significant Virgo in your life and want to know what's going on for them for the month of November. All right, so I'm going to shuffle the cards. Give me one moment while I concentrate on the energy. Sorry I'm being so quiet. Funny thing is what I'm hearing as I'm shuffling the cards is the month of November might be a little bit on the calm side, or at least my energy feels really calm as I'm going through the cards. It feels a little bit slowed down, and the word calm comes to mind. This first card here represents sort of the overall like theme of the month, or where you're going to be at most of the month. Like, off and on, you'll keep returning to this sort of energy throughout the month. And this is the card of the Emperor. This is a lovely card to kick off with. It's funny, the last reading, which was for the Leos, they kicked off with the Empress, and I was saying to them that they were the first card to lead with a major, first reading to lead with a major arcana card. You guys are now the second reading, and it's funny because you're leading with the Emperor and they were leading with the Empress. So if you have any significant Leos in your life, you might want to touch base with them in the month of November, because I think your energies may match up really well. This to me is a little bit about just being very benevolent, being very watchful, being very fair in the month of November, keeping your boundaries, sort of creating new ideas, new dreams, being strong and authoritative from wherever you sit in the month of November, making sure that the things that need to get done and get done in a timely fashion, and not cutting any corners. That's definitely the energy of the Emperor. Really sort of putting in the work and kind of preparing yourself for the reward is what I feel like this card is all about for you guys, for all my Virgos in the month of November. What else do I want to say about this? There might be a little bit of a confrontational feel to this card. Generally, I don't get that with the Emperor, but I kind of feel like you guys might have to confront some stuff or some people in the month of November that won't... I don't think that you're going to suffer any or have a hard time of it. It just might mean that you might have to sort of stand your ground, draw your boundaries, be very clear about who you are, what you deserve, and what you want. That's kind of how this card feels to me. It's about knowing what you deserve and standing true in it throughout that month, and asking for, not necessarily demanding it, but just expecting it and it being sort of delivered. Now, the next card is sort of the foundation card. This tells me a bit about sort of why things are the way they are for the Virgos in the month of November. And you guys have the Fool Child, another major arcana card. So this is like the beginning of journeys, right? So in the months leading up to now, or for November, it feels like you guys have been sort of not really sure where to go, not really sure what to do, but sure that you needed to be doing something different than what you were doing. So you've been sort of moving, I want to say, forward blindly a little bit. But that's okay. There's a naivete or an openness to the Fool card that is actually really genuine and authentic and beautiful. And so it's kind of like, to me, it feels like not only have you been open to different options and possibilities, but you've not allowed, say, any fear or trepidation to get in your way, and you've just kind of moved forward. as you've moved forward, I think that you've started to gather some sort of authority in what it is that you do want, some clarity in how it is you want to go about getting it. And that's what this Emperor card here is like drawing those boundaries, drawing those lines, creating those steps and going after it. It's not necessarily as, I don't want to say that the Fool energy is, the Fool card is necessarily misguided, but to me it doesn't feel like, it feels like maybe you guys were being more led, as to now you've put yourself into more of like a director's position, or making the decisions more consciously instead of letting the decisions be made for you. Okay, the next card is your spirit or soul card. This tells me where, a little bit about where your spirit or soul is at. This is the Man of Crystals, which is similar to the King of Swords in a traditional tarot deck. This is Inventor. Crystals deals with the element of air and the intellect. So to me, I think you guys might be overthinking it a little bit, and your spirit wants you to kind of let yourself free of that. There might be a little bit of a battle of the mind going on, or has been previous. It's time to let that go. It's time to stop burying yourself under the different ideas and the different worries or fears that you may have. To me, it feels like something new needs to come about, and that you had this energy in the past, in the recent past, of the Fool Child, which had you kind of wide open to all different possibilities. And now you really have this seat of power with the Emperor, where you are able to sort of create what it is you want. You need to do it with authority and clarity, right? This is about getting rid of that clarity, not getting rid of that clarity, getting rid of that sort of, that like sort of confusion, or it's funny because I believe that this card was confusion for the Leos. So this is very similar in energy to me, because this feels sort of buried by our own ideas, or buried by our sort of, having maybe too many ideas and not being able to choose one. So we need to sort of choose one and move forward with it, and move forward with it with authority. And that's kind of what I get from this card, is that we don't want, our spirit doesn't necessarily want us to sort of get bogged down by our intellect, so much so that we can't necessarily make a decision and move forward in the month of November. Because I think that if we do, with that Emperor card, we will have a lot of opportunity to create things that will grow into very beneficial opportunities for us down the line. Now, these next two cards are what I call the outside influences. These cards sort of are things that are affecting us either positively or negatively, that we need to be made aware of. They're not necessarily of us, they're influencing us, so they can be people, events, sometimes energies or beliefs that are having an effect on us during the month of November. So your first one is the Five of Worlds, which is setback. So to me, the Worlds deals with is similar to Pentacles in a normal tarot deck. So this is about material, the material plane. This is about relationships, friendships, money, jobs, career, anything that has to do with material goods. This to me could mean that there might be some situations that you experience in November that may sort of set you back, but I always look at this card as not necessarily a bad card, in the sense that to me it's like a opportunity to reposition ourselves, or reposition our focus, reposition our trajectory. And I think that what's going on here in the soul space with the Inventor, the Man of Crystals, is there's so many different ideas that we have, and there's so many different thoughts and possibilities that we've had, that we haven't really chosen one very clearly. So we need to choose it from deep in our soul and be clear about it, and sort of clear off all the clutter and move forward in that. If we do that, we might avoid these sort of setbacks, or these setbacks may still happen to us, but they will allow us and open up the pathway for us to go forward with this energy of the Emperor and that clarity. The other outside influence is time, space. Now, you guys, I'm going to say this right out of the gate. It looks, you guys have a lot of, out of the 6 cards that are being pulled so far, the 5 that have been pulled so far, you have 3 major arcana. So to me, I'm going to say the Virgos are going to have a significant month. It's going to be packed full of lessons or learning for you guys, right? But to me, with it being time, space, the Fool Child, and the Emperor as your major arcanas, it's not going to necessarily feel like you're making these big, huge impacts or great understandings. But I think that down the line, you're going to understand a little bit better, and and be more aware and go, oh shit, I needed to go through that to get to this point. And so it will prove to be a more significant month than you actually think, or than it appears to be while you're in the moment of it. Does that make sense? So again, this time space to me is sort of like an energy of contemplation, taking that time, taking the space to sort of figure out and get clear what it is we want, putting it out to the universe and asking for it to come back, and being clear about it, not letting the universe sort of dictate it to us through setbacks and reach positionings. We have an option here. We can continue on in this position of the Fool Child, being wide open to anything and everything and sort of letting life happen to us, or we can be in the seat of the Emperor, where we sort of dictate what we want, how we want it, with clarity. And we sort of clear away some of the clutter of this, and we learn how to be like the King of Swords, or the Man of Crystals, and invent the idea that we need to move ourselves forward. But we also have to take the time, this card of time space, and sort of contemplate, go inward, find those answers for ourselves during the month of November, and continue to keep revisiting that and clarifying, getting further clarification, so that we really know which direction we're moving in and how to go about executing that move, taking those steps forward. Now, this last card is the sort of potential outcomes for the Virgos in the month of November. Now, this does not necessarily mean that it's set in stone. We have free will and choice. If this is something negative that we don't want to see happen, we can use this card right now as a warning to sort of make choices and changes so that this does not come to pass. But if it's something beneficial, then the great thing is we don't have to do much other than just sort of allow things to happen and continue on as we're going, and this will come about. So interesting. You guys get the Tower. Wow. Another major arcana, which says to me, this is a significant month for the Virgos. The Tower is always sort of a card that kind of something has to sort of disassemble for something new to begin. It might be this setback, a little bit more intense setback energy than we have here. I really think my suggestion here, most people fear the Tower card. I actually think the Tower card is a great card because it's sort of like a rebirth card, or a card that gives us something we thought was going to be permanent is no longer necessarily going to be permanent. It's outside of our control, and it kind of can feel like it's being taken from us, but it really is a situation where it's there, but for the grace of God go I, it's sort of sometimes, God taking it from doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. So maybe there is something that we need to let go of that we can't quite yet. That's what's plaguing our mind here in the Inventor. That's why we've had these opportunities for maybe smaller setbacks. And if we allow them to happen and we reflect in the time-space card as to what we do want to replace it with and get to replacing it, we could avoid this sort of Tower situation. But I do feel as though if the Tower situation does come, it's not a bad thing. It's about this repositioning. It's about great change. And it's also about holding this seat as Emperor and staying in charge of your life and operating from a place of clarity and authority versus a place of passivity, and allowing sort of things to wreck you, so to speak. And I'm not saying that the Virgos are going to be wrecked. I think there's a big transition coming in November for you guys. And you sort of have, somewhere in the recent past, you have created it with this Fool Child. You've known there's needed to be a change, and you set that change off by contemplating it, maybe not even realizing that you were contemplating it. But to me, it looks like the change is going to happen. Whatever it may be and how significant it may be is really up to you, right? As far as how you decide to interact with it, how you decide to experience it, and how easily you lean into it and roll with it, right? There is an opportunity here with this Emperor card to sort of guide the change, or be pulled by the change, which is the Tower card. Okay, guys? I'm going to just say that very clearly. And I think the key here lurks in that Man of Crystals card in the soul space, which is about getting our mind clear and our thoughts clear on what it is we want and how it is we want it. And then if things start to go off course, Do not fear. Stop, recollect your time, your space, your head, get meditative and go, okay, so maybe this setback has happened, so I'll go this direction or I'll do this, right? But it is going to be a sort of repositioning for you guys, that it will take place, okay? But I think that you're safe. I'm not like, I don't think that this is necessarily a bad situation. I think it's about change that needs to take place. You've known it needs to take place, and now is the time to facilitate that, or else it's going to do it itself. Okay, so that's my predictive for the month of November 2019 for all my Virgos. Please comment and let me know how your month goes, and let me know if you did experience any of these things that I've spoken about, or just let me know what you think about the reading. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month in the Tarotoscopes. You can also check out my daily forecasts and my pick-a-cards. Follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist 333, and please support the channel if you like it. Give it a subscribe, hit the bell. You'll be notified every time I do a video. All right, have a great day, and I will see you guys next month. Take care. Bye-bye.